Hi, my name is Bronkhorst, and I want to share with you the word that God gave me for this season, the word for 2025. Now, I want you to keep in mind that whenever God speaks, He speaks in seasons. When God speaks, He speaks to three groups. He speaks to the world, He speaks to the church, and God speaks to Israel, which is symbolic of family. And we can respond to these invitations. I believe that we are in a season of transitions, and people are going through a transition in this year. I believe that the world is going through a transition, which means the economy is going to change tremendously. I believe that the church is going through a transition where God is preparing the church for the new. The new has started. We have stepped into the new, and now God is navigating us in this transition in how to be at the cutting edge. And then lastly, number 3, families are transitioning in the season. God's been preparing people for many years, and whenever God speaks, He prepares us for what is to come. And I believe that the Lord's been preparing us for many years about shifts and transitions that's going to happen. And suddenly, the year 2025 has started and the transition is here. You are going through a transition in the season. Things are going to change for you. Things in your family, things in business, things in ministry, things in the economy, in the nation or world or place where you are staying. Things are going to change for you in the season. Now, the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 1 to 8 says that there's a time for everything. And I believe that there's a time to build and there's a time to break down. There's a time for everything under the heavens. It doesn't matter what religion, church you're part of, this transition is going to affect you in a mighty way. But we serve a God that in the midst of darkness and storms, He has always taken care of His people. And I know that Israel as a nation has been persecuted for so many years, and that is symbolic of God's family, but God always have made a way out for them. And even in this transition, no matter what happens in the world, you are going to make it. But I believe the time has come, and there is going to be a transition of people moving, relocating from one area to another area. God's been speaking to you many years saying, you got to go, you got to move, you got to uproot, and people have not responded, and suddenly the transition is taking place and it's time to move. This is things that God's been doing the last couple of years. There's people that have responded, that have taken that step of faith, but now it's time to go. So therefore, there's going to be a mass migration, which means in every nation, people are going to move, relocate to different areas. And we have to learn to move with the cloud. As God moves, we got to move with Him. It might not make sense when everything is fine and everything is stable, but we got to trust God by faith that when He says it's time to go, it's time to start that new business, it's time to start that new venture, it's time to step out into that new ministry, you got to go, because it means that things are going to start to dry up very quickly where you are. It's never God's intention for you to go through a desert period in your life. And so therefore, the transition has started and it's time to get going. There's going to be so many changes in families. Sons are going to become fathers in this transition, both naturally and spiritually. And then also, fathers are transitioning into becoming grandparents. And it's an amazing time of their lives where a lot of things are changing. As a grandparent, you prioritize things. As a grandparent, your outlook on life changes. And there's so many things in that season that you can celebrate. But I also believe that it's a time for business where things that worked 30 and 40 years ago is not going to work now anymore. And you've got to go through that transition and step into the new. God has not called us to compete, but to step into the new. And so it's time for you to make those changes. In the scripture, in the book of Isaiah chapter 43, verse 18, He says, do not dwell on the past. See, I'm doing a new thing. I thank God for what He's done in business, ministry, the last 30 and 40 years, but now it's your season to step into the new into this transition. My name is Bronkhorst. Thank you for watching and be part of it. And we are praying for you through this transition. No matter what happens, God is with you. As David said, even though I go through the darkest valley, you are with me. I want you to remember this, and I want you to remember this as you go through this transition. God is with you. Have a wonderful day.